Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I thought I'd say a few quick words about Chanel's newly reformulated CC cream that I got the other day. I've only had the chance to use it twice, so my opinion's fairly provisional but quite strong. I don't like it very much and I'm really disappointed because I had the previous CC cream, which is this one. I bought it last year in the early summer to go on holiday with. It was an SPF 30 and it was called 32 Beige Rosé. And I don't think there was any alternative colour for me to go for at that time. I'm not sure if it was newly released last year or I was just quite late on the bandwagon because I hadn't been a big fan of BB creams apart from one, and this was kind of the first CC cream. I think really they're a bit of a gimmick. I don't really understand what the difference between a CC cream and a BP cream and a tinted moisturiser always is. Certainly in terms of some of the ingredients, when you look at them, they're very much of a muchness. However, I did come to buying this one last year and I liked it a lot. Some people didn't like it because the fact there was only one shade, and when I kind of got it and looked at it, it didn't look a very hopeful shade for my skin. But in fact, I found that it worked into the skin very easily and blended very well for me. Had a slightly yellowish undertone, which was quite helpful in correcting the kind of uneven redness in my skin, which has got quite a pink undertone. So I liked it. I found it felt really moisturising. So I did feel that my skin was getting a treatment. It had SPF 30, which was reasonable protection, although, you know, I wore additional sunscreen when I was abroad. What I really liked about it was quite moist and dewy on the skin. And although it didn't give super coverage, it was definitely just a light coverage that evened out slightly my skin tone. I definitely still needed concealer, or I tend to use Tom Ford's Perfecting Foundation stick over troublesome areas like my chin and just around the nose. So I definitely still needed that, and so I understand why some people felt there was no coverage there, but I didn't really expect that of a CC cream, certainly not in the way of a foundation, and I found that it definitely did even my skin tone. It looked nice and dewy, it felt nice. It's typical Chanel skincare smell, which I quite like. And most of all, I found it held up pretty well during the day. It was quite convenient to take this tube in my handbag to reapply, but by and large I didn't feel I needed it, even in quite hot, humid weather in New York and Turkey last summer. So I really, really liked last year's version. So I was definitely in the market for the new version when I heard that not only was it coming out in several different shades, so there would be a better colour match, but it was also SPF 50, which, you know, really good SPF for the summer. However, I got the number 10 beige simply because that's the beige powder, Les Beige powder, that best matches my skin. I do actually use 30 more, but that's because I use it as a kind of contouring slash bronzer. It's much darker than my skin tone. I don't actually use powder that much, but when I do use the Les Beige as a finishing powder, I'm definitely a number 10. So I assumed that would be my colour in the CC cream. Now I have to say, in fact, it is very, very pale, almost blanching on me. And I don't know if that's part of the problem. I mean, like last year's, you know, the colour does work in a little bit, but you can almost see, rather than giving that kind of nice glow, it gives a kind of ghostly cast. Now, the other thing is, it doesn't sink in, or, yeah, it doesn't sink into the skin anything like last year's version. It definitely stays on the surface of the skin. And the effect of that for me, because I have some quite obvious pores around my nose and chin area, is for the kind of whiteness to settle in those pores in a very unattractive fashion. And I'm not talking about as the day wears on. It literally looks like that as soon as I apply it, unless I do a lot of work blending. And, you know, even then, you can almost see on the hand, perhaps not so well. I can see with my naked eye, not so well in the monitor, that it's not even sinking into the back of my hand, which obviously is different skin from the T-zone. So same smell. I'm not sure whether the problem with the sinking into the pores and sitting on the surface of the skin is partly because I've got too pale a colour. That's certainly not helping, but I can see from the texture that it isn't just that. I suspect it may be something to do with the very high SPF, and maybe, you know, with 50, it's kind of expecting too much for it to be making your skin look good as well as protecting. So I've never been one who's been too bothered about, for example, flashback with high SPFs when a photograph's being taken. I, you know, really don't care. I don't have my photograph taken often enough to be bothered about that. I like a good SPF. But it's one thing for that to happen, and another for an SPF cream to be literally showing up, making your pores look like they've kind of got white clogs in them. Really, really not nice. So, huge disappointment. I mean, it's quite expensive as well. I think £44 a tube. And if I don't, you know, work out a way for it to look better on me, I literally am not going to use this. It's that bad. I was just thinking now, you know, maybe if I put on a primer or a base, that may help with the problem a little bit. So I'm going to try that. But at the moment, this is a definite thumbs down from me. So really sad about that, and really sad that, I mean, this isn't an addition. This is instead of this one. They no longer make it. I'm seriously considering stocking up on this one, which I really, really liked from the kind of over-purchase sites in the US that still have it before it goes forever. So sad to report a fail, but learn from my mistakes, people. And definitely, if you're thinking about getting this one, particularly if you're thinking about getting it because you liked the old one, then I do advise you to get yourself a sample before you purchase, so that you avoid any expensive mistakes. And definitely, you know, even if you don't have the pore issue that I do, and you're looking for a really high SPF CC cream, definitely don't assume that the colour that you take in Lait Beige fluid or Lait Beige powder is going to be the same in this CC cream, because for me that is definitely not the case. So until next time, bye for now.